the best way to counter any male manipulation. In this video, we'll talk about manipulations and how not to fall for them. So, what are the typical tactics used in manipulation? The first one is ignoring or silence. Next up is blaming, devaluing, guilt-tripping, and making false promises. All these manipulations are necessary. You need to understand them in order to do something about it. So first, you need to identify that a man, for example, if he's a manipulator, is trying to manipulate you, and only then figure out what you need to do. So, the best way to reset any manipulation, it's about not giving in to provocation, not giving in to emotions. And if you will, for example, in any manipulation, maintain a neutral tone of communication. If the manipulator sees that it doesn't work on you, then he won't see any point in using such manipulation. If, for example, a manipulator sees that by making you feel guilty, you are acting the way he wants, he will do so much more often. If the manipulator ignores you with silence and you do as he wants, then there will be many more moments of ignoring you with silence. But when you don't give in to any manipulation, the manipulator will understand that he can't work with you that way. So, by remaining neutral, calm, and confident, you can always answer a man. For example, if the manipulator tells you, "You're being too emotional," respond to him calmly. "My emotionality is normal, but let's talk about how it affects you." And this confident and calm response will make the manipulator think about the fact that such phrases don't work on you. Next, the mirror game. When you use a man's words in the form of a question. For example, a man says, "You always mess everything up." A mirrored response that will leave the manipulator speechless would sound like this. "You think that I'm intentionally ruining our relationship," and then the manipulator has no choice. Does he realize that this kind of manipulation doesn't work on you? It doesn't work for him to respond to the questions that he basically throws at you in the mirror. It's a really good technique to reflect the person next to you. Sometimes the manipulator doesn't even realize that he's manipulating. He just understands that this is how things work in his life. He realizes that some things work and he takes advantage of that. So when you marry your partner, he sees himself more clearly and understands how it looks from the outside. Next, don't give instant responses. Manipulators count on such a quick reaction. They need quick answers, quick emotions, everything quickly, but when you don't give that same quick reaction, again, the manipulator has no field for his action. For example, you can say, "I'll think about it and let you know later." And again, the manipulator doesn't get that quick reaction he's counting on. Next, the ability to say no confidently and calmly. The ability to say no often weeds out a huge amount of manipulation. So when you really know yourself, understand yourself, and know what's okay, and what's not, what works for you, and what doesn't, then depending on the situation, you can say no when something doesn't suit you. And manipulation simply doesn't work here because they won't work with you. Well, no, this is actually a key skill for nullifying manipulation. And when you say no, don't make excuses. For example, saying no, this doesn't work for me, and no, you can't do that to me sounds normal. But when you start saying no, because I have this, that, no, because I'm tired, then the manipulator thinks that next time he can definitely do the same to you. But when you clearly know what you want and what you can talk about, no, then for the manipulator, some moments just get cut off right away with that one word. Next, boundaries. Clearly state your rules. When a man hears what a woman is saying and she says it calmly and confidently, then those boundaries aren't crossed. For example, you say, "I won't discuss this with you in that tone, in a certain situation." And the man understands that he either needs to tone down his tone, he needs to calm down, or there will be no discussion. That is, when a woman speaks calmly and confidently, she lets a man know that with her it's either this way or no other. If a man uses, for example, ignoring or silence, a woman can say, "You can keep quiet, I won't run after you." That is, be silent for as long as you need. When you think it's necessary, then we can talk. And this clear understanding of how to interact with me and how not to cuts off any manipulations. Next, return the responsibility to the manipulator. Manipulators love to shift responsibility for everything, for actions, for words, for anything. Manipulators love to blame other people for their failures. So, bring back the responsibility. Manipulator. For example, it's your choice, and I respect that. When a manipulator does something and then tries to find someone to blame, they return his responsibility to him, saying that you chose it. It was your choice was accepted, and I respect your choice. So, you need to take responsibility for your choice. Here I can say, it seems to me that it depends only on you. When a manipulator tries to find someone to blame, a calm phrase about how everything depends on him. In this situation, you can bring him to his senses and make him understand that manipulation is here. Let's say, won't work. And the last thing is dealing with the feeling of guilt. Guilt manipulation is very common because many women in particular were raised to have this feeling of guilt. The woman, the girl, was growing up and they immediately instilled in her that she was guilty for some moments. And that's why it's so easy for a manipulator to use guilt to control a woman like a puppet, making her do what he wants. This manipulation falls apart in no time. If you ask yourself the question, here, I really am at fault. There is indeed some blame on my part, or they're just trying to make me feel guilty. By thinking about this topic, you will understand and cut off moments of manipulation, realizing that, for example, it is not your fault, but they are simply trying to make you feel guilty. You will see manipulation. And the easiest way to resist manipulation is to not give in. When the manipulator sees that manipulation with guilt does not work with you, then he understands that this method does not work here. That's all I have for this video. This was me, Elisa Vardomska. Likes and subs. Leave a comment about what you'd like to discuss in my new videos. Don't forget to hit the bell.